Yes.
So Oresztesz, welcome, and thank you very much for coming on to share some of your experiences, especially with the Hypnosis Training Academy. Can you tell us a little bit about your background, your family, professional career, etc., before you became a hypnotist and started working with us?
Okay, so well, my original training is actually in hospitality. I used to manage hotels, and eventually I made it to Mexico, where I started to take care of some small to medium, top end, high level hotels, and but it didn't really satisfy me. I always had this connection to the people that I felt like I didn't really have all the skills I needed. So it was kind of frustrating. I always knew that I enjoyed somehow helping people and somehow connecting to them, but never really felt it was satisfying in any way doing it in the hospitality industry.
What was missing for you?
Well, first of all, social skills. I didn't really know how to engage in a satisfying conversation. I lacked some management, personality development. So that part was a little bit frustrating at the same time, combining this. And I would say experience, but experience has to be specific. Like you have to, because if I were to stay there, I'm not sure I would have developed very efficiently, although somehow I would have advanced.
Right. And what were you hoping to change when you switched careers to hypnosis?
I'm not even sure I was hoping specifically something. It was much more like, oh yeah, this is what I want. When I found my first idea of being able to do hypnosis, it was actually just some silly NLP video, somebody changing the mind of someone, and then I took like a week-long course that was very specifically only on one kind of intervention.
Right.
And I just felt, well, first of all, I was in a lot of frustration because of the reasons that I described.
Yeah.
And at the same time, I have always been interested about the power of the mind and how people can change. And I distinctly remember having made a phone call to my aunt saying I want to start learning psychology. And she talked me out of it, her being a psychologist for some reason. She doesn't remember that phone call, but I even remember the actual payphone where I made it from. So that all of those kind of came together when I learned about being able to help people through hypnosis.
Now, before we look at hypnosis in more detail, you mentioned a whole bunch of frustrations and gaps in your skills and things like that when you're still working as a hotel manager. How do those limitations affect your life on a more personal level?
It just ended up a lot of times like feeling like I was doing the best that I could, that I was trying hard, just not getting very good results.
And go on.
And it just felt kind of beyond my ability to I didn't really even know where I needed to correct. Like now I talk about my social skills. Now I talk about my own personal development because now I understand. When I was there, it was just frequently a feeling of inadequacy, if I'm saying that right. Just not feeling like I'm cut out for this. Something is not working, and I find myself doing naturally, retreating to my office and then figuring out, interesting ways in which Excel can help administration better, and those were satisfying. But I did feel like I was retreating from the contact with the guests, contact with the staff. When I was transmitting my ideas to them, it would not get through very well. I would get upset when my bad communication caused mistakes that would arise later, then I would feel upset with the guys that were supposed to guess my thoughts and feel good about my transmitting their duties.
And roughly how many hours were you working a week at the time?
I was working, well, we were resident, I was working as a resident manager. So that was basically work all the time.
Right. And what about private time? What kind of things did you wish you had time for, but didn't really have time to do?
And you could cut out certain times through the day. Like if you really wanted to, you could escape for a couple of hours at a time, and then nothing would really go to hell.
Right.
But yeah. But the whole experience was filled with lots of frustration.
Right.
I would say.
What would you say was the trigger moment for you that let you know, I need to change now. I can't keep doing this forever?
Well, a few things came together. So there were some life events. Like I met who was going to be my wife, and this today. So that caused me to leave one hotel for another in the city. And then there were some opportunities, like a friend said he would start a hotel. So that's why I left another hotel that was going reasonably well, because they said that they were going to open up, they're going to reconstruct an old building and make it into a hotel, which then fell through. Then I went back to the first one. So it was constantly, I just had this feeling of things not working out very well. I mean, I was getting by, but it was just a constant sense of, this isn't very satisfying. This isn't fulfilling. This isn't working. And even in the background, in those times when I did have time, I was actually beginning to go down a little bit on the rabbit hole of beginning to learn about the power of the mind.
Right. How come?
I just found it interesting, and NLP is very well was very well advertised back then. So that was my first kind of the first few books or courses that I found.
Right.
Sorry. So then I explored that a little bit, and then when I tried to apply that didn't really fully work out.
Right.
Then I looked at, because now I know that I just didn't understand the principles of what made it work.
Right.
Then yes.
Yeah. So when you were going through this whole trying out the power of the mind stuff, more personal interest, at what point did you decide that you wanted to switch careers and become a hypnotist?
It was actually so it was somehow NLP, then Ericksonian hypnosis, which I had absolutely not the remotest possibility to understand with that level of exposure. So that was way over my head. And then I fell into more classical hypnosis, just straight up direct suggestion, close your eyes, relax, and you're going to be great. And then I found another course which just said that, hey, you know what, you can do this, get started. And I think the combination of frustration and kind of desperation and this idea of, hey, you know what, there is this one technique, you can fix everything with this one.
Right.
Kind of became a good combination. And I said, screw everything else. I've had this way too much. This seems like they say it works. So let's jump in and do this.
And how did these other hypnosis courses, how did they work for you?
Well, they worked reasonably well enough. I would say that I had a very lucky bit of a break here because fortunately I had some extra help with how the local culture is, and people assume that if you're a foreigner and your skin is lighter than they're used to, that means more education and more preparation and more higher status and what, which turned things a little bit in my favor. So that, and having good contacts with television, and not hypnosis not being very well known yet here, it kind of all of it came together to a reasonably lucky, I would say, start, which got me through the shortcomings of my knowledge.
Right.
Because yes.
So what kind of pitfalls did you have as a result of the knowledge shortfallings?
Well, the thing is that all I really knew was one technique to help people, and I didn't really fully understand what it was trying to achieve throughout. So I honestly, I had plenty of times when things didn't really work out, where I would say mostly, if we got some results, it was mostly because of my enthusiasm and my desire, my genuine desire to help, and my belief, a little bit of faith healing, just because I believed it was going to do things. I think it did, but there were many frustrating sessions where I missed some points, and I would just graze by them because the script would go, or not so much the script, but the strategy would just say, well, you did this for that, how this is how long, and then you just move on to the next part. And if I don't move on to the next part, my hour's going to be up and I haven't done the important part. So sometimes I wouldn't make sure that I did what the first part had to achieve for the second part to work. Right. So yeah, those were
overall, what would you say was missing for you from doing hypnosis in that way?
On that level, I would say understanding of the principles, and understanding an even more important general principle, which is, well, and the third one. So in general, understanding the principles. Second, beyond understanding the principles of what needs to happen, understanding how important it is to do one thing and make sure it achieves its purpose, and then move on.
Right.
And then make sure that achieves its purpose, and then move to the next bit. And the third one, that is even bigger than the first two, is really, really paying attention to what my client is communicating, being present, hearing them, and really making sure that I enter their world and I pull out their ideas, or I use their ideas as building blocks for the results they want for themselves.
And then in the midst of all this, how did you hear about us and our certification program?
It was a combination of I found something that you had online, and then a recommendation of a friend who trained with you live. So I have been previously exposed to just your kind of teaching, and it makes a lot of sense, and it's putting me into trances, and it's very cool, and I feel like I understand things. So that was a really, really good introduction to building up our imaginary relationship. So when this friend said that, hey, you know what, there is this kind of information available, that yes, that would be, that's definitely something high quality that I would be interested in engaging.
And then when you kind of joined us, what drew you into becoming a hypnotherapist certified through us? What were you hoping to get?
In all honesty, the certification, fortunately at that point, I had the business developed enough that it was already working. It was much, for me, it was much more the understanding, the actually being able to help people. By that time, I have built up a number of frustrating experiences. I even remember one email, just a bit funny because, you know, there hasn't been another single email like that ever. There was one that was a really angry person. You stole my money, you charlatan. You told me this was going to happen. And even though I didn't show up to all of the sessions you told me I had to, and you know, there were other issues. But, you know, I did have like a few occasions that stood out where I tried everything I knew. And especially one person where I know that he wanted to do everything that I was telling him. I threw everything I knew at this person, and it just, I couldn't. And I really didn't feel good, you know, accepting money for an experience like that.
Right. And after you graduated through our program, what changed?
It was a completely different level of how I'm able to engage with helping people.
Go on.
All of those things. I first of all, now I understand what helps people, what makes people tick, how it is working for them, how they create their problems. I had an interesting strategy originally, which was kind of trying to construct a fantasy understanding of how, you know, this started here, that's why you know, things happen like this, and that's why you have this problem. Now I understand much more deeply, and this has been going on for years now. So I have really put the learnings that I got with the program to really good, thorough, frequent use.
Right.
It really helped me to understand the principles of how people's minds work.
Right.
I really have a clear way of knowing how to progress through the interventions. By this time, I have taken it to an even more interesting level where I can, through understanding the principle, I can pretty much now use any of the techniques to achieve anything that any of the other techniques are trying to do, and kind of mix and match. And that is really cool.
How do you get to that point?
Well, continuing to attend more trainings and and jumping on as many opportunities as I could.
Right.
But basically paying attention, because this has always been everywhere. Because how you teach the principles, it basically follows that you get a lot of flexibility. With how you help your client.
Right. Yeah. And comparing you're a full-time hypnotherapist now, is that right?
Yes.
And you're making enough money to support your family, you'll put your kids through school and all that with your hypnotherapy?
Yes, this has been my only full-time job for the past almost 15 years.
Congratulations. And how does being a full-time hypnotherapist compare to your old job as a hotel manager?
There is so much more free time that I have available. It's really very, very hard to compare. When I work with people, it's satisfying, it's nice, it energizes me. When I have my clients, and there is just so much more free time. It's
right. What can you do now that you couldn't do before as a result of that time?
Well, it's mostly learning, it's mostly studying, it's mostly
Right.
Exposing my own whatever shortcomings of what I need to be able to grow further,
Right.
which is again, I see that as a good thing. Like
Right.
I've had moments where I've gotten to there's just like, okay, yeah, how do I grow my business further, and then get in my own head. But again, I think if I didn't have all this time to waste, that would have taken possibly a decade of what
Right.
took me about
Right.
a year or two
Right.
of bumping into my things, having the ability to practice with students
Hmm.
from the program, and
Right.
being able to have access to the community.
Right.
I have connected to others who've been able to just, as an exchange kind of, or call it practice,
Hmm.
but have been kind of able to push me along my own personal development.
Nice.
So
Nice.
I know that's definitely not something that you would promote, but yeah, it can happen, or I don't know how to say it without
It's quite all
messaging.
right. I think it's great when people actually get some personal transformation along the way. I think it's part of the course. But comparing your life now to your life as a manager, hotel manager, how has the free time that you have and the skills that you've learned, how has that affected your relationship with your wife, your children, and your life in general?
That is huge. So just the fact that my job is satisfying.
Hmm.
I'm not leaving it frustrated. I'm not leaving it with problems and lack of satisfaction.
Hmm.
It is wonderful. Whenever I want to, I can just take a week off. I can go to any event that my kids have.
Hmm.
This time, my wife is not able to travel with my younger son to
Hmm.
it's competition, so I am going to. And it's just like, okay, yeah, well, cancel or move whatever appointments I have for that time, and
Nice.
or even do them online if they are someone that I really want to take good care
Nice.
of and needs my attention during that time.
What would you say to someone who's watching this video right now, who's thinking of joining the diploma school to become a hypnotherapist through us, but isn't sure? What would you say to them about that?
Um, Honestly, I think you have just, if you listened all the way to this interview to this point to begin with, you are already hooked. There's probably already something in you that is seeing, hey, there is something that is interesting in this, that's connecting with me, and I would say you have found a really, really good place to learn well, because there is a lot of hypnosis education out there. But what I really appreciate about this is first of all how I learned a lot about indirectly about understanding the strategies and the principles, and no, that was directly, and indirectly how to relate to people, how to treat them, which is, I say, really permeates the entire system.
Mm.
It's just I constantly am amazed at how great the people that we end up magnetizing are, how nicely they deal with each other. They you know um, it just ends up being a very nice community,
Nice.
and really good, powerful, and positive learnings at the same time.
Anything else you want to say?
No, honestly, I kind of wish this is where I started, but you cannot change path. But I'm really happy that I eventually found your teachings and this program, and it has really, really positively transformed my life. So
Wonderful. Well, Orestes, thank you so much
much
for
appreciated.
much appreciate you sharing your story with us, and I wish you all the very best in your future as you're carrying on from strength to strength.
Thank you very much. I will.
Bye bye for now.